It's all right.
Okay, we have 3 candidates for 3 positions for village trustee. They are all incumbents, Mae Brandon, Georgia O'Neill, and Gary Kopycinski. And we'll let the ladies go first with the opening statements. Mae?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and once again, thank you to the Park Forest Non-Partisan Committee, as well as the Park Forest Cooperatives, the best kept secrets in the land, and all of you for coming out and attending this forum. It's very important to be an informed voter, and I think these forums give you an opportunity to just do that, to be an informed voter, so you can make your own opinions about who you think are the best candidates for any particular office. So I'm glad that we're continuing with that tradition. I am a 45-year resident of Park Forest. I've been here since 1966. It is the only place we've lived in Illinois, period. There were times we had an opportunity to move, but we decided that this was a place that we wanted to be. This has been a very nurturing and supportive environment for my husband Calvin and I to raise our children, and for us to develop over time. I feel that Park Forest has given us a lot. It has provided a lot for me, and over the years that I've been here, actually since the first year we moved here, I have been the type of person who has been serving the community. And by being your trustee since 2003, I think it provides me with an opportunity to give back to Park Forest just a little of what has been given to me. I know that we're faced with some very challenging times and very unpredictable times, but I can tell you that I'm very committed to helping manage those times through some creative problem solving, through strategic planning, and very tight financial management. And we have been a village that has managed to come through different hurdles, and this is a time that we will do that again with your vote. Thank you.
Georgia O'Neill.
All right. Good afternoon. First, I want to thank the Park Forest Cooperatives and the Park Forest Non-Partisan Committee for hosting and sponsoring this today. And I thank you very much for that opportunity. My name is Georgia O'Neill, and I was appointed to complete a trustee's term when he retired. I am now seeking my second election to a full term as Park Forest trustee. I have lived in Park Forest for 41 years, and have started out in 1970 with my late husband Marty and 3 children. During that time, I was active in my children's schools and served as a Girl Scout leader. And for nearly 40 years, I have been a member of St. Irenaeus Church. Professionally, for 22 years, I served as manager of 3 local chambers of commerce. I am tuned in to business needs and have the skills necessary to help with the village's economic development efforts. For 3 years, I was Director of Public Relations and Marketing for the Center of Park Forest. I was instrumental in gaining support for the center among business, government, and community representatives. As a trustee, I will draw upon those relationships to benefit our community. I am a member of the Park Forest Historical Society's Hall of Fame, and in 1996, the Park Forest JCs recognized me as Citizen of the Year. We do have issues and challenges in Park Forest, and as a continuing trustee, I pledge to work hard to address these issues, particularly in the area of economic development. I am motivated to do that because of Park Forest's many blessings and benefits, our people, our cultural riches, and our many services and amenities. I pledge to work on your behalf to preserve those benefits and enhance them so that Park Forest continues to be a good place to live, work, and grow. And please remember to vote on April 5th. Thank you.
Gary Kopycinski.
Thank you, Al. I want to thank all of you for showing up today. I want to thank the Non-Partisan Committee for sponsoring this forum, and thank you to the members of the Park Forest Cooperatives. My name is Gary Kopycinski, and I am on the ballot for re-election as a village trustee. I have been a teacher at Marian Catholic High School since 1990. Graduated from the University of Notre Dame, earned my master's degree from Josephinum in 1992. I have a son, James, who is 25 years old. I want to comment on a few things. I enjoy the diversity of Park Forest. I was active on the Human Relations Commission as soon as I moved to town until I was first elected village trustee in 2003. I am a member of the Park Forest Running and Pancake Club, and I know I don't look like a runner. I'm working on that. Park Forest Focus, Tallgrass Arts Association. Still working on my lifetime membership for the Far South Suburban NAACP, and I started a news organization, eNews Park Forest. There are some things recently that were very difficult for me. My son did move to Florida, and I think of, we do not live in a town that does patronage government. I was unable, and I wonder if I had been in a different situation, would I have resisted the temptation to just ask the mayor to give him a job? We don't do that here. So he is doing well where he is, and I love him, and I'm very happy for him. I am interested in moving forward and continuing in Park Forest with open, honest, and ethical government. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, now we'll move to questions, and if you have questions for the trustees, especially, put them on the blue card and hand them to someone to bring them up here. The first question we have is in reference to the water wells. Two questions. Where is the water emptied to? And there are complaints about the color of water, calcium deposits, and what is Park Forest doing about that? And we'll start with Georgia O'Neill.
And I'm not 100% on about the water wells, and I'm even hesitate to answer that in case I should give any false information. I do know that we have won awards for the quality of our water. And in conversations that I've had with staff and the people who know, and we have the highest level of professional staff of any village that I've ever been associated with, and I have been associated with other villages through my 22 years with Chambers of Commerce. And what I'm told and what I hear and what I know as a Park Forest resident, that you're wasting your time if you're buying bottled water. The water from the tap, from our supply, is as good, if not better, than bottled water. And sorry that I can't give you any more than that, but as I said, I hesitate to give false information.
Okay, Gary?
Well, our water empties into the Thorn Creek Sanitary District. We have been working, over the past few years with coming into compliance with inflow and infiltration issues, and we have gotten a good review from the Thorn Creek District, Sanitary District. And if you are a member of an organization or a group, I would encourage you to take a tour in Chicago Heights and actually see where all the water enters into and the fascinating process they have of purifying it before it's finally released into Thorn Creek. Regarding the quality of the water, every instance that I have heard of, I have taken to the water plant itself. I have directed residents there. I do know that right now we have a number of water main replacements going on. And because of that, there may be areas or situations where there is some discoloration. If you are concerned, please call the water plant or call the manager's office, call the water department. We will certainly get somebody out to test your water. I know of no instance where water has been tested in Park Forest where there has been a problem. So all I can tell you is that several times a month, the water is tested in numerous locations around the village. We do some of that, and then there is also an independent agency that comes in that administers those tests. Thank you.
Hey, excuse me.
As you know, we have a brand-new water plant, and as been stated, we have the distinction of having the best water in the state of Illinois. That is an award that we won. I've had people ask me about the coloring of the water, and that typically is because of either a water main break or the water mains are being worked on. It really is not the quality of the drinking water itself. Our water, we are part of the Thorn Creek Sanitation District, and so our storm waters do empty into that. People wonder why we're not part of the Cook County, but it isn't. That's not the way it's laid out. So, but if you ever have any problems with your water, then call the water department and let them know, and they can investigate that. But we do have the highest quality of water that there is for any of the communities around. And it is best drinking water. I know we have been involved in water testing, and other homes throughout the village are involved in water testings. There's a very strict schedule that our water plant goes through in terms of testing the quality of the water, the chemicals that go through the water. So it is monitored very, very strictly.
Thank you. The next question is, what is your plan for obtaining more businesses for Park Forest? And we'll start with Gary.
Well, we have started some fine initiatives, and they need to continue. We began, at least during the course of my term here, we started an economic development department. And we are working very hard to woo businesses, to woo corporations. The Richard Dent project is very interesting to me, and that shows a lot of promise for us. One of the things I do to woo businesses is I go to the businesses in Park Forest, and I try and tell their story as often as possible. It's twofold. It's not just getting the business here. Right now we are working on Norwood Plaza. We are working on some kind of a store to take over where the last grocery store was. I don't know if it'll be a grocery store. We are working on North Street, South Street, for some corporate entities to come in. We do face challenges, of course. One is the tax issue, and that relates directly to school funding. So as much as possible, I'm continuing to work with our staff to support the businesses that are here and to develop relationships and bring more in.
Okay. Right.
Believe it or not, we do have more businesses in Park Forest than people believe. If you get one of our business directories, you can see the number of businesses that are here. But people make the assumption that there's nothing, for instance, in the downtown area, there's nothing in Park Forest. But check out, there are businesses both on North Street, South Street. We have over 70% of the businesses that the village the property that the village owns is occupied. I think you forget sometimes that there are often the buildings are 2 stories, so they're not just storefront, but they're also upstairs businesses that are going on. There are lots of things that are in the works. What we need is for financial things to change. We have the TOD project, or the Transit-Oriented Development Project, down at 211th Street, which is moving forward. It's been mentioned about the Richard Dent project that's being looked at. There is a developer that is looking at some development here where in the parking lot in this area where the homeowner, the builders that built the other buildings, the homes over there, was going to look at. So there's several things that are going on. In terms of what do, I do check with the businesses that are here. I encourage you to visit visitors. When people say we don't have something, I remind them of what's here. I'm out and about throughout the south suburbs, and I also encourage people that are looking for spaces to check us out, because we are the best buy in town, in the area, in terms of the staff that we have to work with the businesses. We do have the issue of the Cook County taxes, and that's something that we cannot control. So we have to look at and get business to understand the other things, the positives of Park Forest that they can build upon by bringing their business to this city.
Okay, I perked up when I heard this question. It's a high interest area for me, and I don't know a lot about water wells, but I am very interested in our economic development, and I'm very pleased with our economic development. I am the trustee liaison for our Economic Development Advisory Group. Some of the things that are being done, and first of all, it has been mentioned that we have a lot of businesses in Park Forest, and this may shock you, but we have 346 active businesses in Park Forest. But there is a small business incubator that is being set up in downtown Park Forest, which was the former location, ironically, of the Chamber of Commerce where I worked. It is a wonderful project that is going to attract home businesses, small businesses, and will cultivate new businesses in Park Forest. The former Taco Bell and Popeyes on Western Avenue is slated for occupancy. It was also mentioned about the Richard Dent project. That's an exciting project that we're very much looking forward to. We have a transit-oriented development project, specifically the 211th Street Metro Station. There are 4 priorities in our strategic plan for land use and economic development, but the transit-oriented development is the first priority. This is also going to surprise you. In downtown, in early 2010, our occupancy was at 80%. And I think a lot of people just don't realize that. There's a South Suburban Food Co-op coming to downtown, and the former Marshall Fields building, a development group, is interested in developing an energy-efficient residential neighborhood. So there's a lot happening. It's just, there's an ugly P word. It's called perception. And I'm telling you that I'm very excited about our economic development.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is for Gary Kopycinski. And the question is, why do you use the village name in vain, eNews Park Forest, with smearing and negative political propaganda? I've just read that as submitted.
Thank you for the question. Could I ask, and I'm taking a chance here, how many of you have read, or are aware of eNews Park Forest? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. When I started it, I did that in a room, and there weren't that many hands that went up. I am very proud of eNews Park Forest, and eNews Park Forest is an independent corporation. It is not run by the village government. And while I am editor and publisher of eNews Park Forest, this is an independent entity that I am very, very proud of. Started in the summer of 2006 when I had a little bit of time on my hands after losing an election. And I sat down that summer and decided I wanted to do two things. One, in response to the people who were telling me that they were learning more from our site than they were from, let's say, a local newspaper about Park Forest. I bought a domain, enewspf.com, and started rolling it out. And I've learned a lot. I'm a member of the Society of Professional Journalists. I was the first ever online-only member of the Inland Press Association and a number of other organizations. As such, the news has a right to tell the news and to report on what is happening. If someone is perceiving that there are smears, they are certainly welcome to write a letter to the editor. For the election coverage, I'm not touching that. That is our associate editor, Rosemary Pizer, and I applaud the work she does every day on a voluntary basis. Thank you.
So would you like to comment?
I just want to say I read eNews daily, and I'm very grateful for the information that is contained in that.
Okay. We have a lot of questions for the village president, and not so many for the trustees, but I'm going to do one last question, and then we'll move to the opening statement. So that question is, why did you move to Park Forest? Give several reasons.
Well, let me tell you, I had no clue about Park Forest at all. We moved here from Baltimore, Maryland, and my husband was doing some research at the University of Chicago. The doctor's secretary with whom he worked lived out here in Park Forest, and I had come to visit one weekend in Hyde Park, and I had said to him, "Oh, I don't think I'm going to be moving with you." Being more of a suburban type of person, that's community that I grew up in Baltimore. So needless to say, the big city of Chicago was precisely that. It was a very big city. And so his secretary brought him out here. He found a place. We lived on Dogwood in the co-ops. And the plane, I got on the plane, came here. I think I must have slept several times over coming from the airport to get here. And the first question I said to him is, "Where did you put me?" "Out in the middle of the cornfields." And that was my impression as a newcomer, because that was what I saw every time I woke up. You have to remember, there was no I-57, there was no but there were cornfields, and that's what I saw. But the interesting thing is the neighbors all were very welcoming, and it came to be the place that I've loved and I continue to love. I've raised our children here. We've been here, and this is home, and I have no intentions of going anyplace else. I love this community, and for that reason, I continue to want to serve this community.
Georgia?
Well, ironically, I also moved here from Baltimore, Maryland.
That's the truth.
Yes. In 1970, my late husband and I were transferred out here from Baltimore, and he was transferred out to work as regional manager serving the steel mills. And it was supposed to be a 3-year stint. And I was fine with that because I had all my family back in Baltimore, and all his family was back in Baltimore. Over the years, it turned out to be a permanent move. And there were times then, like I say, I really missed my family. I wanted to go back. But obviously, it started to settle in because we moved on Sauk Trail in 1970. In 68, we moved into an apartment in Madison. In 1970, we moved on Sauk Trail. We lived there for 18 or 19 years, and we had a chance, we had actually more than one chance to move to another community because our oldest daughter went to college, our two other children were teenagers, and we thought, we need a bigger house. And we looked around, we looked at so many other communities. We spent so many Sundays house shopping. We decided to upgrade to a larger house. I now live in West Lincolnwood in Park Forest and have for almost 20 years, or about 20 years. I think, so it's not so important as to why I moved here, but why we stayed. I've had exposure to a lot of other communities. I'm so happy with the spirit here, the diversity, the amenities, and this is why I've stayed all these years and why I'm still here. And it's believe me, it's a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you. I remember the first time I ran for office, I talked about the streets of Park Forest. I moved here for the character, the diversity, and the streets. And I'll explain. First off, the town has a lot of character and characters.
That's good.
Years ago, I moved here in 1990 and lived in Sturges with my son. And I was running, that was back in the day that I was allowed to run distance. And I started, my initial involvement was I ran the Scenic 10 and had an incredible headache afterwards that day. And I started training for marathons and got involved with the Park Forest Running and Pancake Club. And that was a lot of fun. I worked at Changes Coffee House and got to know a lot of people in town and decided that this is the place I wanted to move. One of the other things that's important to me, and it was important for me, I feel was important for my son, was the diversity in Park Forest. Pittsburgh is still very segregated, and it's sad. When I talk to my Jewish friends here, if they have a relative in Pittsburgh, that person lives in Squirrel Hill. And I can tell you where the black neighborhoods are and where the white neighborhoods are. And Pittsburgh has not done diversity well. Park Forest did diversity well 45, 50 years ago. And I applaud the old timers, some who are still with us, who took the initiative and made those moves, inviting people of color and others to become a complete part of this town. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move to the closing statements, and Georgia O'Neill.
I have a very short one, actually. I just want to say that as a continuing trustee for this village, the following will be some of my focus areas: to keep apprised of Park Forest business needs and issues through attendance at area business events and my involvement with our Economic Development Advisory Group, and to make use of my developed relationships with area economic development groups to assist Park Forest economic development efforts. I have served this village for over 40 years, and with your support and your vote, I will work hard for you and continue to serve Park Forest. So please remember to vote on April 5th. Thank you.
Gary Kopycinski.
Thank you. Thanks once again to the Non-Partisan Committee for sponsoring this forum, and to the members of the Park Forest Cooperatives of the Park Forest area for hosting us. I am a proud resident of Ash Street Cooperative. And ladies and gentlemen, contrary to what some people are saying about us, about you right now, I know you pay taxes. During my first term as trustee, I was prepared for weekly board meetings, and I continue that. Seeking additional information from staff, I ask questions, I talk to citizens, I get to know business owners, I attend committee, commission, and neighborhood meetings. I have met with school boards and citizens groups. I meet with residents. I return phone calls and emails. I maintain open communication, and I have worked to find solutions for residents on countless issues. I have a strong relationship with our state officials. I work to ensure that our youth have a voice in government and that our seniors maintain theirs. I have worked hard for the safety of our streets, pushing for improvements from our police and fire departments in matters of personnel and equipment. I pushed hard for economic development, supported our housing developments, and worked to maintain Park Forest as truly all-America, a village which, from its inception, has welcomed and embraced diversity, our families, and the arts. I am a small business owner, started a community news service, eNews Park Forest. The issues defining this election are the same as they have been for many years: taxes, development, and village services. I look forward to serving you once again as trustee. If you want to find my campaign site, that's keepkopy.com. And I look forward to meeting you again in the campaign, and please remember to vote on April 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mae Brandon?
Once again, thank you to the Non-Partisan Committee of Park Forest. Thank you, Park Forest Cooperatives. As I said, a very great place to live. Today has been a day of starting out welcoming to this community a brand new church and congregation at what used to be the Good Shepherd St. Paul Church. And then going from there to my own church, which is Faith United Protestant, where we celebrated 60 years of existence as a church. Began back in 51. Can't even count. So it's been a day of new and a day of reflection of what this community has been all about, the history of this community. And for those new residents, I really do encourage you to look at the history of Park Forest, look at the beginnings, look at what was important to this community, the involvement of volunteers. That is what has always been the center point of this community, and it's important to continue to have it in that way. I have always been one of those kind of people, because it's the way that I was raised, is to give back to the community. And I will continue to do that, and I am very dedicated to making sure that this village remains stable and that we continue to move forward, as I know that we can. I champion this village, and I will always do that. I am a champion within the village as well as outside of the village, with the relationships that I have built within the region and with our state representatives. Yes, we have challenging times, but hey, you know, we're up to it. And I'm up to helping to get through those challenging times with your help and your support. It's very important. Remember, April 5th is Election Day. Many people have fought for this right. Many people across the world continue to fight for this right. So please remember to, do that. It's your right. Go out and vote on April 5th. And once again, I'm very happy to be serving you as trustee at Park Forest. Thank you.
Hey, I want to thank the trustee candidates for
Thank you.
hearing.
Thank you.
Yeah.